Happy Saturday, guys. Welcome back. So I'm just coming to just chop it up with y'all. I do have a topic in mind, but I want to check in and see how y'all are doing on this Saturday. Today has been a busy day for me, y'all. It's just been busy, busy, busy. Busy, 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 and I'm loving the temperatures. The temperature has dropped in New York City. I'm pretty sure it's dropped all across this country, but this is my kind of weather. Like, I love it because it is just perfect. Like, it's time to bring out the pea coats. It's time to bring, I see a lot of guys wearing their hoodies. I don't think New York men have ever stopped wearing their Timberland boots. They gonna always wear their Timberland boots. It's funny, but yes, I like to wear pea coats. I like my boots. What's up, Lisa? How you doing? So today, or tonight rather, we are gonna talk about love. And I want to talk about like vulnerability that is necessary in terms of falling in love. Directed towards men. This video is directed towards men, but women can watch. I think a lot of my content is directed towards men. I wonder why. Well, I am a single woman, and I think just I speak from my own personal experience in dating and relationships, but it's fun, it's exciting. So, I actually was going to title this video Emotional Unavailability in Men. And oftentimes you hear people say like, oh, a person is bringing in baggage in a relationship. And so a lot of times it's like a gender war, right? So men say women bring in their baggage. Women say, I don't think actually, do women really talk about the baggage that men bring in? Because I think that's really what inspired this video, because there isn't really much talk about the baggage that men, the junk that men bring into relationships. And not only bring into relationships, but I think also what kind of keeps them inhibited when it comes to forming a relationship. Like, we know, or maybe you guys don't know, but I think it obviously it takes a certain degree of vulnerability, right, to fall in love. And it seems, and this is just what I've observed, like it seems it's easier to fall in love when you have less experience. And it's more difficult to fall in love when you have more experience. And I think that the younger you are, you're more open to new experiences. That's my hypothesis. That's my theory. I'm sticking to it. And so I think having, like, we all have experiences, right? Good and bad. And oftentimes in relationships, a lot of us have been through a lot. A lot of things in relationships have been burned. And so we go or try to go into new relationships, right? And form a new relationship with someone. And it just doesn't kick off, right? It just doesn't, like, you try, but it's unsuccessful. And it's a reason why it's unsuccessful, right? Because I think there is oftentimes a barrier. People put up barriers. And it's like, you want to be in love, but you have this barrier up. How can you fall in love, men and women? And I'm talking to you men out there, because y'all often point the finger at us women, but a lot of y'all be having y'all guard up. How can you fall in love with a woman? How can you get to a point of emotional availability with a woman if you have your guard up? And a lot of y'all don't even know that you have your guard up, right? I had this conversation, and I'm gonna do some self-disclosure, because I think self-disclosure is useful in making my point here. So you guys know I'm on the dating scene. And by the way, my birthday is coming up. I almost forgot, y'all. I want to be 37. My birthday is legit coming up. In like less than 10 days, I believe. Oh my gosh. What I'm going to do for my birthday, I don't know. I do know I need a massage. I need a full body. I need to just go to the spa and get a full body treatment because I need it. Self-care. I do that frequently. I used to do that when I was living in Los Angeles, like on a weekly basis, sometimes bi-weekly. I get my massages, deep tissue massage, legs, feet, back, all that good stuff. So yeah, I'm on a dating scene. I'm talking to this guy. I was chatting with this guy, and I talk to different guys because, I like to socialize, right? So talking to this guy, he's a teacher. Um, well-versed teacher. He's been teaching for over 10 years. He just purchased his house, a new home, a couple years ago. So he's like, established. He's well off. He's attractive. In my eyes, anyway. Like, he has a bald head. He's muscular. For me, muscles ain't really, I'm not really big on stuff like that, but, it says something, I think, about a guy who can take care of himself, right? At least physically. And I think sometimes people, especially men, overcompensate. When you could tell, like, a person's overcompensating, right? Because a lot of these men be in the gym and they spend hours and hours in the gym working out, right? And shaping their body, bodybuilding, right? But it's a void there. It's just like overeating. Anything that you indulge in and you kind of like do it in excess, right? It's like you're overcompensating for something. What is wrong? What is wrong that lies beneath the surface, right? And I think being a psychologist in training can be like a person who studies human behavior, right? It can be a blessing and a curse. The curse is just that I'm constantly always analyzing things, right? And sometimes I just wish like I can just turn it off and just like, you know what? Stop analyzing things. Just let it go. Let it be. Just live life. Just fall victim sometimes. It's okay to be a victim. It's just like, no, I can't because I see things, right? And it's hard to like ignore certain problematic behaviors, right? Because that's just part of being a psychologist. You look for things that are wrong, right? But when before, I really didn't look for that. I just enjoyed and lived life. Like, I need to kind of undo this. I wish I could just go back and just undo this training. I mean, let me not say that because I don't want to jinx myself. But you guys get what I'm saying. It's just being able to kind of be very sensitive and detecting when something is wrong, right? And so, like, I talk to guys and I just listen. Like, I listen to them talk. I'm a very good listener. I listen to what they're saying, but really what they're really saying. And a lot, I think, a lot of things are said without words. And so, he talks about working out, and you can see that, he works out, he's in good shape and all that. Muscular build. Like, I wish I could show you guys a picture, right? I could do a screen sharing. But, I think I could do that on IG, but not here, I guess. I never really tried it on Facebook Live. So, yeah, but I think I am taller than him. That's another thing. I'm taller than most women. And then I'm taller than some men, too. So I think he's like 5'7". I'm like 5'8", close to 5'9". I got some height on me. I got some long legs, You girls slim and tall. But I'm not really bothered by that I'm like maybe an inch or so taller than him. It's just like certain things that I've picked up, right? Things that he's done and said. And I'm just like, yeah, you're overcompensating for something. It's something there. Something underneath that surface that there's a void. Something that you lack, basically. Something that he lacks that he's trying to make up for by all this working out and being heavily fixated on his body, right? We talk about women having body image issues, but I do think that men who work out in excess amounts, they become like, they are so obsessed with their body, right? When you see those men, like those gym rats, as they call them, they spend so much time working out. That is a problem, y'all. Don't debate me. Debate your mama. This is true. They spend so much time working out. And granted, I don't want to send a message like, oh, guy who works out is bad. No. Like I said, I like a guy who can take care of himself. But that to me is a concern. But beyond that, I'm just kind of like painting the backdrop of this person, right? So he's been single for a while. So with all of this physical beauty, you know, he's very successful in his career, right? He brings in decent amount of income. And I always come across these guys with decent amount of income. But don't get it mistaken. It's like, I think sometimes people, we like to get it mistaken because you think just because a person is financially set, like some women, I think when they have their blinders on, like they just don't see the issues that lie beneath. But nah, I'm looking for it. I don't care about your income because I'm not with a man for his money. I don't need your money. I don't need a man's money. But I see things, right? And looking, I'm just like, I'm listening to him. And when we have been talking like on the phone and video chat and no, we have been talking on the phone like and sending messages back and forth, right? And then we made it to video chat. And I'm like, dude, this is your shot. This is your shot. You missed the shot. He missed the shot. But that, like, when a person gives you a shot, take it. Don't just fuck it. Like a lot of guys just fuck it up, right? They get a shot. And this, like, I got this smile because I'm going to get to the point, y'all, in a minute. Y'all know, like, sometimes for me, like, it takes me a while because I'm kind of like, I'm living this. Like the stories I tell you guys, some were in the past. Sometimes they're still in the present, still kind of fresh. Even though this guy already made a decision about this guy. Like I knew from the point, like the time when we had our first and last, there's only one encounter over video chat. I'm just like, nah. And this is why. And this is the reason for this video, because I'm using this as an example so you guys can see where I'm coming from. So like we're on video chat, and this can say a lot about me too. So it's not just about him and pointing out whatever is going on within him. This says something about me, but at least I'm aware of it. I don't think he was aware, and we did have a conversation following that, like over the phone, about this encounter over video chat. And I had to let him know. I say, you, because he was wondering like, where you been, like why you been calling me, because I'm the kind of person like I will go show ass, like because like I said, I pick up on certain things and I realize like, nah, this is just not it, you know, right? And granted, I think my past, because sometimes, like I said at the beginning of this video, we all go through things in our life and in our past. And some of us have been burnt, right? But I think, yeah, being burnt is cool, but it's better to just learn from whatever you went through, right? And for me, like, I learned from it, you know? I'm not so, like, traumatized or hurt or not. No, I just learn from it and I move on. And those are valuable lessons that I've learned. And especially just working with people professionally, it's just like you see things and you realize like, no, this is going to become a pattern. And that's not what I want. Like, I want a healthy relationship. I don't want an unhealthy relationship. And I talked about this in another video. And some people just don't get it, but you can predict with like a certain degree of certainty that something is not going to work out, right? It's just not going to work out. And so in our follow-up conversation, because he had been wondering, like, what happened to you? Where you been? Because I'm just like, I lose interest. Like, but it's what he demonstrated, right? It's how he presented himself when he had the opportunity in terms of our video chat conversation. So like I said, granted, he's a teacher, and a lot of teachers are working remotely, right? They're teaching from their offices at home. And so he's like, we're on video chat, and he's so-called grading papers. Now, granted, this is the first time we're on video chat. So we connect video. Of course he acknowledges my beauty. Most, like, that's just a given, right? See me, oh, you're beautiful, I like that. Sometimes they don't even expect, like, oh, you're really a real person. Like, that's you. Like, you know, because people do catfish. It's like, yeah, like, those pictures are me, like, I'm a real person. It's like, oh, you're very beautiful, right? So he did acknowledge that, but I kind of expected that anyway. And so then he's just, like, multitasking and trying to give off this perception that he's, like, nonchalant about it, you know, like, he doesn't care, you know what I'm saying? But he cares. And this is why I have to do this video, guys, because that's just one example, and I'm going to finish that story about what happened. But I have so many different reference points, like, I can talk about, and I've seen this in men and men. I'm making this video for you guys because y'all just don't get it, and you end up disappointed because you're like, why she ghost me? Why she's no longer interested? Dude, check yourself. You have a complete guard up, okay? And a woman who's self-aware and who loves herself is not going to sit up here and risk and compromise. Like, she's not going to, a person that she doesn't even know, first of all, like, this is your time. We are building a foundation, getting to know each other. Whatever happens to first impressions, right? Like, you have to communicate that you're interested and maintain that consistently. See, that's where y'all guys go wrong, because some of y'all, okay, you can show interest, which y'all do apparently, because that's how you get a woman's phone number and you make it to video chat and then the first date or whatever. But it's like you have to maintain, like, be consistent about it. Maintain that if you're interested. Now, if you're not, then that's fine. But I laugh and I'm smiling as I'm saying this story because like, I reflect a person's energy, right? So, and this is not just me, this is just human behavior. This is women. So this guy, we're on video chat, right? Talking. And he's in his home office. He has, like, what, two computers and tablet, all this freaking technology surrounding him, right? Alexa and all of this, right? And he has me right here in front of him, the person that he says he's interested. You know how y'all guys be, oh, baby, you're so fine. I want to take you out. I never met a woman like you. We're vibing. He's an Israelite. That might be the problem, because he's a Hebrew Israelite. And so we connect, right? But then he's trying to, and I think he's doing this intentionally or maybe not. He's just been so wired to be this way towards women that he's probably not even aware. And I don't think he was quite aware, because when we had our follow-up conversation and he was like, asking me, oh, what happened to you? Like, why you haven't been calling me? And I said, no, I think you are emotionally distant. You're cut off. And I take that a certain kind of way. He's like, oh, no, that's not what it is. Like, I'm very interested in you. But you got this wall up. And I'm not going to sit up here and waste my time with a man, and you got a whole freaking wall up, dude. Granted, we all have a wall. I get it. We all have our walls up. We don't know a person. We're careful. We want to protect ourselves. But no, we're grown. We're grown adults. And if you want to move forward in building something with a woman that you're so interested in, you can't have no thick, tall, sky-high wall up like that. Because I'm not breaking down no wall. And you have some guys, oh, well, if you're interested in me, you got to prove yourself. And this goes both ways towards men and women. Women sometimes do the same thing. Oh, if a guy's interested in me, he got to prove himself. No, a person will show their interest. But to have to fight down and fight through all of these walls, absolutely no. A person doesn't owe you anything. I don't owe a person any, like, you don't owe, no, a person doesn't owe a person anything. And it's just like, he even kind of said that to a certain extent. He was like, oh, if a woman's interested in me, like, she's going to show herself and prove herself, and she's going to fight through the walls. I'm not fighting through no walls, baby. I will be present with you. You invite me to a video chat, I'm there. You invite me on a date, I will be there. And I will be present with you. I'm not going to be distant. I will be present. Now, if I feel like I should be distant, I shouldn't even be on that date. Because it's something that my conscious, my intuition is picking up about your energy that doesn't sit well with me. So I wouldn't even be on that date anyway. But once you check out, you check out as far as, phone conversation. Okay, you pass that. We check out in terms of video. Okay, cool. We meet face to face. Cool. And my energy, we're able to, I pick up on your energy. And you check out, then okay, cool. There's no need for me to be having all these walls up like that. That's the issue. To me, that's a red flag, right? And so I had to break it down with him. We had, like, on the phone following that whole video chat. Because I be throwing guys for a loop. They have no idea. They don't even see it coming. They don't even see it coming when I just kind of say, you know what, nah. I don't even let them know. I'm just like, but then they'll call and they'll be like, what happened? What's up? And I will let them know. I will explain myself. I have no problem saying, you know what, this is not going to work, and this is why. This is what I observed, and this is why. And it's not that I'm giving you a second chance because I'm having a conversation, because no, I'm just letting you know. So going forward, if you choose to go forward with somebody else, that's something that you can pay attention to yourself. And the reason why I choose not to go forward with guys who are emotionally distant is because they have past traumas they need to heal from. And that's the thing. Women, we used to being hurt, right? So you have guys like, oh, women bring in baggage in relationships and da-da. No, women are so used to being hurt and going through the traumas and all of that. Like, we know how to deal with it and we've healed from it. Whereas men, when men get hurt, that shit cut them deep. It's a different kind of hurt. And a man can have dealt with something many years ago. It could be 2014. And he's still suffering from that hurt. Whereas a woman could have been hurt last year and she living her best life. Or even the same year and she living her best life because she knows how to quickly adapt. That's my whole point. So when I confronted him about it, in our phone conversation, I was like, yeah, I can see you're emotionally distant. And you even mentioned that, you've been hurt several times. And he was like, well, it wasn't recent. The last time I've been hurt was 2014. Oh, really? But I can tell you still have your guard up and it still affects you. And I can tell that you were the pursuer in that relationship. And she hurt you so bad that you don't even want to be a pursuer. He even said his own mouth. He was like, oh, I don't really pursue women. Oh, well, this ain't going to work. You already know, this is not going to work. Because that's what a man should do. Yes, I said should. If you're interested, don't sit up here and be playing games. Or you're interested, but no, I'm backing out. I'm not interested. But I'm interested, but I'm not. Like, you interested and be consistent. Point blank. I'm not asking you to do anything. That's up to you. But I will respond based on your behavior. Based on what I see. And guys can't be mad like that. It tickles me. Like, you are seriously mad because I have lost interest. But what reason do I have to continue being interested in a guy like that? I'm not interested, yo. I'm not, He's pretending to be so busy. This is wild, like during our first video chat. So busy and grading papers and but you want to talk to me. So, I get it. I think people, when they do things like that, they're trying to create a scenario, right? They're trying to, and that's the kind of woman, the kind of woman I am. That's the thing. I am not going to respond how a lot of women respond. And they may be like, oh, well, begging for attention. Oh, I'll ask you, okay, what's going on? But I'm just like, okay, if you're busy, I'll check you out later. It's not that deep. It's just not. You're a grown man. If you want to communicate, you should know how to communicate. I shouldn't have to say, all right, well, hello, I'm here. I'm not about to do all of that. You wanted to get on video chat with me. You expressed interest in me. So guys just aren't aware of those barriers that they put up, those walls, right? Because they're afraid to be hurt. And then he goes to say, right, in our conversation, I found this so interesting, the perspective, because I know he is not the only guy. I'm like, you know what, I have to do a video on this because I know that he's not the only, I've seen this in men. He's not the only guy that thinks like this, right? So he says, yeah, I've learned from my past experiences, my past mistakes, that, you know, when I'm like all into a woman, you know, or fall in love too soon, this is what happens. Like, it doesn't work out. I'm unsuccessful. So basically, he's doing the reverse. He's going from one extreme to another extreme, as if that's just the solution for the issue. I say, no, sweetie, you have to understand what the problem is. In order to treat a problem, you got to know what the problem is, right? And to be able to diagnose it properly. So he thinks the issue is him just being a pursuer and pursuing women, right? And investing his time and energy into a relationship. He thinks that is the problem because he says that in the past, historically, when he's done that, it yielded a certain result. Basically, the result was failure. Like, she pulled back, she wasn't interested in him, whatever, right? I said, okay, that's one approach. You could do that, but I'm gonna let you know, and it's clear as day. You do that with me, you've lost me. He's already lost me. Like, he ain't a recruitment because I already see, like, dude got some issues, some stuff there. Like, it doesn't take me long. Like, dude. I just think that sometimes he goes over something in his head, yo. And he knows what I study. I'm like, dude, this is what I do professionally. Like, I work with people. Like, I don't like to keep bringing it up, but I just think that sometimes people just don't get it, right? And so I'm just like, yo, the whole time, you should have been, that's when you should be on. You know how they say, oh, you know, there's times where you can be on, you should be on, and other times you can just kind of kick back, you know, chill. No, you need to be, it's time for your ass to be on point, yo. On point. This is a first date, virtual date, so to speak, you know. We're doing video chat, and this goes for all men. Y'all can take a lesson out this book. That's if you want a woman, right? But guys think that I'm gonna fall back, you know, I'm just act like, you know, I'm just busy man, you know, I'm not really that interested, but, you know, I'm doing my own thing, but yeah, I'm interested. Because a woman got, think about now, if you acting like all distant and all of that, imagine this same woman that you want to spend time with, to be interested in you, to build something with, she got 20 other men who expressing interest, who blowing up her fucking phone. Even more than that. You know, I'm being freaking modest by saying 20, but it's times that by 5. So who you thinking she's gonna give her attention to? This is like, yo, this is not rocket science, man. I'm like, how in your mind would you think that being distant and not being a pursuer is going to get you a woman? Because like I said, that's how he conceptualized his issue that he's dealt with previously, long before I came in the picture, right? He's like, oh, I've had, you know, many failures in dating, you know, that's why I'm still single, even though I have all this success, because, you know, I put my all, like, I fall face forward into a relationship and basically gets a short end of the stick. So his solution is just to do the opposite. And I say, all right, that's one approach. But I had to let him know it's always many different ways to skin a cat. It's always many different ways to go about a situation, right? So I say, honestly, I think that's very ineffective. It's not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to get you far. I think it's better for you. First of all, you got to know yourself. You got to know yourself to be able to look into somebody else and to see what kind of person that they are. And to be able to attract that right kind of energy, right? So I told him, I said, I think it's more effective to position yourself around a woman, right? If your goal is to build a solid relationship and to date seriously, you first of all gotta build yourself up. Like, you gotta work on yourself, because there's something about you that ends up getting the short end of the stick in these things, right? But not only that, you have to position yourself around a woman who is equally invested in building a relationship. You in the past have gotten fucked over because you sitting up here chasing them women who don't have any substance. They don't want to build a relationship. They don't know nothing about building a freaking relationship. So no duh. What you think you're gonna get? I say, when you look at your degree of your intensity and how much you invest in building a relationship, you take that, and I can clearly see it's on 100, right? Because he's an extremist, you can tell. So anytime you see a person go from one extreme to the other, they're an extremist, right? But neither end of the spectrum is healthy. So so his solution is to just kind of pull back and do the complete opposite, right? And just be disconnected emotionally. And I'm just like, no. But if you want to do something, like, you got to find somebody who matches that energy, man. If you know you put in 100, you got to find somebody who matching 100 with you. And see the fireworks that go off, right? Like, I told him, I said, I know they say that this is kind of cliche and, love at first sight, you see it in Hollywood movies, but no, that shit is real, man. Because when two souls finally meet and they connect, they meet, they connect, and those two souls have been equally desiring the same thing, and are emotionally available and are invested to contribute that same degree of energy towards each other, that shit is magic. That's what love at first sight is. But you sitting right here acting like you're not interested. He doing everything. So guess what I did? That's how I got his polish off. I saw that he was sitting up here on his laptop grading assignments. So I pulled out my polish. I started painting my nails. I'm not even looking at the screen anymore. Because for me, I think communication it's a sacred thing, right? And in terms of building a bond with somebody, I take that seriously. Time for me it's like a very sacred thing, right? It's something, obviously you can't get that shit back. So trust and belief, if I'm in front of a person, like, you have my undivided attention. What's the point of being on the phone if I'm doing 101 other things? Not to say we can't multitask, of course, but this is the first meeting. I should emphasize this. This is the first meeting. And you're all over the place, right? But it's a facade. And it's a wall. It's a barrier that he's learned subconsciously to put up. So, he doing that. I'm sitting up here painting my nails, like, disinterested. Because I'm an actor. Like, I was like, yo, I match a person's energy, but I do this on purpose because I have to teach a lesson, right? And it did catch his attention. It caught his attention. And we had a conversation about it when he realized, like, I pulled back. Because I'm reflecting back to you what you've been showing me, what you've been demonstrating towards me. And if you know that's not what you want, you know that you don't feel good being treated that way. And I had to let him know. I said, yo, I'm here. I'm interested in you. But if you showing half-ass interest, when it's really a facade that you're putting on because you're trying to pretend like, okay, I'm not that invested. I'm not that interested just yet. I'd rather just be friends. And he said this. So he said as part of, his remedy to failed relationships, because he's the person who's usually the pursuer and overly invested, his remedy is to just be friends with the woman. Well, she ain't never gonna be friends. Don't get me wrong. I think friendship is a wonderful thing. I have male friends, men that I'm friends with. I have a best friend that's a male. We've been friends for ages. So I think there's a certain degree of intimacy and understanding that can be nurtured in the context of a genuine friendship. And he even pointed to that to say that if he believes that if he can master having a friendship with the woman, then he will be able to attract something more, right? So I get that line of thinking. But then for him to go beyond that and say, oh, well, having friendships with multiple women, I'm like, yo, I think that's a problem. There's nothing wrong with being friends with multiple people, don't get me wrong. But I also can see the downside to that, because if you are moving unintentionally, without direction, without purpose, you're just like, okay, I'm going to be friends with this woman, I'm going to try friendship with this woman, I'm going to try friendship, and just see which one becomes the stronger connection, and that's who you choose to go with. I mean, that's one. You can take, I guess you can take that approach, but I had to let them know this is a downside, because people were very smart, we're very intuitive. Like, human beings are very sophisticated beings, right? Like, you cannot fuck over a human being. Like, even the dumbest of human beings, right? And so people pick up on stuff like that. Like, a person can tell when you aren't invested as you should be, as invested as you should be. A person can tell when your attention is divided. You don't have to tell. That's why I say a man knows if a woman is cheating on him, a woman knows if a man is cheating, right? And even though in his mind he said, oh, well, it's just, we're just friends, so it's really not cheating, but it's still attention that's divided. And my whole thing is this: if your goal, and I've said this, I'm going to give another example that's related to this topic of emotional and unavailability, is that I've seen it before in another situation. And men wonder like, oh, what happened? What's wrong? Your attention is divided. If you want to build something, right? If you want to yield a certain result, it takes time and energy. And it should be effortlessly. Like, it shouldn't be like, oh, like people say relationships take work. Yeah, but relationships that you want to be in, relationships that bring you joy, it's not really work. It's just, you're there because you want to be there. You do it so effortlessly, right? And so you invest, you spend time with that person. Sometimes you spend so much time where it's really hard to separate you and that person, because you want to be around that person so much, right? And you have all of these hormones, these good feeling hormones going off in your brain, the endorphins, the dopamine, the serotonin, like different chemicals are released throughout your brain and your body that send a message to say, I feel good around this person. This person is good for me. People are afraid. It's like people want that, but people are afraid. How can you, like, that's like, okay, a person who's an aspiring entrepreneur, right, or business owner. It's like you want to go out there and launch this business idea that you've been sitting on for a while, but then you're afraid of what could go wrong. So you just sit on that business idea for years and decades, and you just take it to your death. I say, you know what? If you continue to think the way you're thinking, I can promise you with absolute certainty that 10 years from now, 20 years from now, you're going to be in the same situation. Because guess what? You're not willing to take a risk. And he's like, oh, well, I'm willing to take calculated risks. Okay, are you? But it always amazes me when it comes to the whole discussion of risk, right? And the risk that men are willing to take with women. Because I think sometimes men can be a little bit more cautious sometimes in taking risks with women. And when it comes to, I ain't talking about sex, because that's easy. That ain't nothing. People do that shit brainlessly, right? I'm talking about in terms of risk, in terms of being emotionally available, being vulnerable with the person, right? Allowing the person to see the inside of you, to be intimate with you. People, men are specifically, are more reluctant to do that. And I told him, I said, I get it. You don't want to be hurt. But I'm not here to coach you along those lines either. I can do that. I can offer advice. I can offer you insight. I already gave his ass, an observation of what I seen within him, and it's like, and part of him became defensive. I was like, yo, I'm not here to argue with you. I'm here to put it on the table that like another woman probably ain't gonna tell it to you like I tell it to you. I'm just letting you know this is what it is, and it's not gonna get you far. Obviously, like you didn't get far with this, and I'm sure like I'm not the first that you're interacting this way with, right? And so it requires a certain degree of vulnerability. Gotta take that risk. And it amazes me the things that people are selective in the risks that they take, right? Especially men. And yes, I'm calling y'all out. Selective in the risks you take. And the things that you choose to invest in. People invest in the things they want to invest in. Whether that is expensive clothes, shoes, a job. A lot of y'all sitting up here slaving on these 9-to-5 jobs. Oh, you show up every day on time. And you give it your all. And it yields a certain result. Your paycheck gonna be fat. You get the benefits, the retirement. All of that is good, but you have those same men who end up in their 50s, you retired and your ass is lonely. Because you invested all of that energy and time into one thing. You put all your eggs in one basket. With that same energy that you choose to invest in a 9-to-5 job, if you say you want a relationship, invest that same energy. It's still risk. We take risk every day. As long as, I'm not saying just go out there and give your time to some woman and she not worthy. Now, if you find a woman that you kind of sense that, okay, yeah, she might be the one, she seemed a little bit trustworthy, like she got her head on her shoulder, she doing something for herself, she's somebody who I can confide in, she's trustworthy, then okay. But people oftentimes take, like, you've been so burnt out by these bad relationships. A lot of people don't even want to take no risk at all. It's just like they shut down completely from taking that risk. It's just like, all right, well, stay in your shell. That's you. I'm definitely not here to convince you because you are on this app. I'm referring to this guy here that I get an example of. We all out here looking for that partner, right? But it's interesting. And I can be preaching to the choir, be talking to myself. And I told him that. I say, you know what? The things I'm saying to you, I'm saying to myself. Because trust me, I know where you're coming from. It's a human experience. This is only natural. But I say the issue comes when you guard your heart so much, right? To the point where you will never be hurt ever again. And not only will you never be hurt ever again, you will never allow anyone to love you again. You will never position yourself so that you give a woman an opportunity to love your ass. Some people have been so hurt so bad that, oh yes, you can bet your last dollar that nobody will ever be able to hurt them. But I said to him, not only will nobody will be able to hurt you, and nobody will be able to love you, ever. Because you're just at extreme. And then he sat there, he was like, damn. He was like, you might be right. So, hey, it's a risk, but like he said, it's important obviously to take that calculated risk. And if you come across a woman, but it's like, how will you know if a woman is worth taking that risk? How will you know? And I think that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to test the waters. So he's showing a little bit of vulnerability by what? Getting on video chat, but you're on video chat and you're like distracted and trying to put on this facade like, I want to show her how much interested I am in her. And this goes along the same lines of a post that I made the other day on Facebook. And I'm trying to recall the exact words that I said. I say, black people, black men and women, we know how to fuck and fight. But do we know how to make love to each other and be romantic to each other, right? And the comments that were left, most people, it was a general consensus. Most people agree, like said no. Or that's something that we can work on. And some people was just like, oh, one lady actually, she got offended. She got triggered and she was just like, oh, you need to delete this post. Because that's not true. Y'all be killing me with that's not true shit. Oh, it's true. And obviously, nothing is true for all people. That goes without saying. So you don't even have to say, oh, it's not true for all people. She always say, oh, it's not true. No, it's true. That's why people can relate to that post. And that's why I got the reaction that it got, because it is very true that, unfortunately, within the black community, we are fighting so many battles to the extent where we struggle with being emotionally available, being vulnerable, which will create a certain space for us to be romantic towards each other. It's easy to be volatile. It's easy to fight. That's easy for us. It's easy to fight. It's easy to argue. It's easy to be confrontational. Because we've been obviously conditioned in a certain environment, this environment that we're in our social environment, that obviously doesn't have our well-being. Doesn't have our well-being as their best interest, right? Like, nobody gives a fuck. They say Black Lives Matter, but unfortunately, who really cares about Black lives? Because the conditions that we've succumbed to have created, obviously, many systemic layers of our reality, has shaped many different layers of our reality on many, like, this shit is multifaceted. Not only has our health been impacted, physical health, mental health, spiritual health, it impacts us financially, like all the way around. And romantically, I think that's a big thing when it comes to mate selection. Yes, the struggle that we face under this racially oppressive system does impact our mate selection. And how we interact with each other on an interpersonal level. Unfortunately, it does. And so when you see it difficult for men and women to give each other kisses, flowers, to just be submissive, just show that love. Because if you're constantly in an environment where you have to have your guard up, that's going to just be your way of interacting with the world. Not only that, it shapes your worldview first and foremost. So the way you look at people in the world is much different than a person who, doesn't have that reality. Doesn't have to worry about fucking how they gonna keep a roof over their head, or being shot down by the police, or being discriminated against because of their freaking skin color, the way, the texture of their hair. They don't have to worry about being judged, So people that don't have to worry about these things can go about and just be happy and live life. And I know, of course, we're speaking of generalities, because not all white people are happy. But I'm just saying it's the reason why you can juxtapose the two different realities, and you can see there's a stark difference between the two. And people who are raised in certain environments, man, who live in, I see it. Like, living out here in Manhattan, right? I live like in the Upper East Side area close to Harlem, and I can walk just being able to walk, because I do a lot of walking through the different neighborhoods. You walk through Upper East Side, people are just eating and getting along, and not to say everything is perfect in their lives. I'm not saying that. But you can just enjoy a nice dinner, and you can just, be able to not have to worry about money and bills and stuff like that when you have it like that, right? Versus you go to the hood in Harlem, like it's clear, the oppression is just so ever present. It's so clear. You can just see the oppression on people's faces, and the energy it's a different vibe. And it saddens me. It's disheartening to see that and to experience that, because it's just like, this is just a story of our lives. And yes, Black people have learned very well to adapt to that kind of environment, right? And some of us do it so eloquently, almost to the point where you would never know a Black person is suffering. Some Black people anyway, right? But then again, it's just like, could that be a facade? Yeah, because like a person can be a slave, right, or living in hell and not even realize it. That's probably even more problematic, I think. But that's just their way of coping with life. It's almost like a disassociation that a Black person makes, because really you're supposed to be walking around angry. Like when you see Black people who are walking down the street, mean mugging and shit, and you freaking slightly touch them the wrong way, they take your damn head off. And it may seem like an overreaction, but it's almost like, no, that's how they really should be. That's a real Black person, because it's real, because they're not putting a facade and trying to fake smile and act like everything's okay. No, they showing you, listen, this is me in the flesh, and this is what it looks like when a person survival has been threatened. Means of survival has been threatened. Living day to day, not knowing if you're going to be able to make it to the next week, or to make it shit even the next fucking day. So you living like that, how the hell can you be able to relate and interact with a person, a romantic partner, in a healthy way? You should, a person like that, you should be mad. I want to be mad when I come across Black people and their face is mean mug, or they might have an attitude. I don't be mad, because I understand it. Like, I understand it, man. And they should walk around with that face, because that's them being real. You shouldn't try to cover it up and not. Yeah, I get it. Yes, to a certain extent. Yeah, you're gonna have to learn how to cope and adapt, but it's just like, until your environment changes, until your reality changes, it's just like, come on. Your face is a reflection of your reality. So it's a struggle, and I was going to make a video talk about, okay, well, why is it that Black people find it so difficult to be romantic towards each other and to truly love each other? We love each other, but we love each other. It's just unhealthy. It's just dysfunctional ways a lot of times. When I say Black people, we're talking about, because I know you guys, some people say, like that lady, oh, you should delete this. I'm just like, lady, okay, you probably don't have that. It's probably not your reality. But everybody, like my target audience that I'm speaking to, it's diverse. Yes, you got Black. I have a lot of different kind of Black people that follow me. But I have a passion towards, Black people who come from where I come from. And still there, we still struggling. That's who I be speaking to. So if I post something it's not meant for you, then carry on. It ain't meant for you. It doesn't apply to you. Not all of us are struggling down and out, There's a lot of great examples of Black people who are very well adapted, or sitting well financially. And finances is important. It's just we can't get around that. I know some spiritual folks or religious folks like, oh, you can't be talking about money all the time. Money is important. Our society revolves around money. You need money to freaking live and survive. Take money away, your ass is gonna die, okay? Unless somebody else is taking care of you, which a lot of black people are dependent upon the government, or subsidies to provide for their basic needs of survival. But those things need to be in place in order for you to be able to move to the next level of being able to build and develop healthy romantic relationships. Because you don't have to worry about this crisis mode. A lot of black people are just in crisis mode, man. That fight or flight shit. On all different fronts, in terms of food and health and your own safety, physical safety and being protected. You live in the neighborhoods, there's a lot of crime and violence. Like, come on. What do you expect? And you expect freaking roses? You expect romantic gestures? No, expect to get slapped upside the head as a form of love because that's what that person has been exposed to. So I say all that to say, as it relates to this video, it's just like, black men and black women alike, like we all have our own stuff that we're dealing with, right? But it's important through that stuff to be aware of these issues that affect us and that exist inside of us. Because, there's many different ways to kill off a race, right? I mean, deliberately, right? And overtly, the police have demonstrated one way. And within our own communities, we have demonstrated another way by just killing each other and fighting each other. But on a more sophisticated level, I mean, we can kill each other by killing the love and the intimacy that should exist between black men and black women. When the love and intimacy is gone, what do we have? How can you build a bond, a relationship, a marriage, an institution, a family? How can you do that? It's going to be dysfunctional. It's going to be broken. You can't even get past the freaking first step of going out on a date. You know what I'm saying? Let alone talking about building a long-lasting relationship with someone. You got to take that risk and focus. A lot of us just have trouble focusing, man, and being consistent. If you know this is what you want, like, focus. And I get it, you got some men that are polygamous, right? And there's this argument that, oh, men, no matter the race, are naturally polygamous. Okay, it could be. But if you ain't mastered a relationship with one woman, how the hell are you going to do it with 4 or 5? Or 10, for that matter? And that's what I'm talking about. Like, your attention is just all over the place, right? You ain't even mastered a relationship with yourself yet, let alone being able to do it with someone outside of who you are. But it's a process. The first step, I think, is just being self-aware and realizing, like, okay, there's a guard up. You have a guard. You are afraid. You're protecting yourself. And knowing how that guard negatively impacts your ability to be able to connect with other people. And that's why you just out there in an island by yourself. But are you happy? Okay, you may feel safe. We all have an inherent need to feel safe. But there are other ways you can feel safe. If you freaking creating this distance and disconnect between you and other people, but yet, in the same token, you have a desire to be in love with someone, fellas, ladies, but more specifically the fellas, something got to be reworked in that situation, that equation. Something gonna have to be reworked. Go back to square one. Go back to the youth. Like if we could just tap into those years of our life before we became tainted by these negative experiences in life, and we were more open to explore and take risks. Remember when we were teenagers? Like, that's why we had so much fun back then. Yeah, so much, because we were just out there living life. We didn't have all these freaking inhibitions about ourselves. The internal silent voice in our head saying, oh, don't do this. Wait 3 days before you call. Like all these stupid rules and shit, that we create within ourselves that we think is going to protect ourselves. And okay, you protect yourself all right. You locking yourself all the way up in the cage. And people refer to marriage, oh, you're going to be locked down, settle down, locked down. No, you can be locked down as a single person. People have put themselves in a freaking prison. There's a prison built around many people, many of y'all watching this video, that you need to break out of and tap back into that youth, that innocence and forgiveness, and understanding that just because that one person did you like that don't mean all people are like that. And some risks are worth taking, because what you gain from taking that risk is more than what you're trying to hide yourself from, or these so-called perceived negative outcomes that can come about as a result of taking that risk. What you gain outweighs those things, right? So sometimes it's just worth it. Just go out there and just live life. Just do it. I do it sometimes, right? But then when you do it, it's just like, oh, damn, I got hurt again. Like, fuck. I knew I shouldn't have freaking did that. I knew I should have just stayed in my cave and just said, fuck all women. This is how some men think. And the women say, I knew I should have just said, hell no. Keeping it on lockdown. But see, also I think when it comes to like being vulnerable and like connecting, right, men and women connecting, I think it's important like we listen to these hurts that a person is going through. And like I said, I'm preaching to myself. I know I'm not always the best at this, right? But I reciprocate energy too. So I think that we listen, right? Because there's a meme that I like that I see circulating on social media that like a person can tell you, I've been through this in my past relationships and all this fucking shit that a motherfucker can go through, right? And we all been through shit. And a person can tell you this stuff when you first meet them. And what do a motherfucker do? Put your ass right back through that same bullshit. And I think we gotta stop that, man. But I think it happens too, like kind of subconsciously, where a person is just not even aware that you're doing the same thing. You're repeating those same patterns, because what you attract, what you've been attracting. So that's where that work comes in, that self-reflection, that work that you need to do on yourself kind of comes in, so you don't attract. And even if you do attract those same kind of people, you're gonna relate to that person differently. Because I think that we have like this there's this archetype that's kind of like hardwired within us, where no matter your past experiences, it's something like it's kind of innate that you're born with, that, you have this thing about who you are, and who you are, irrespective of your developmental experiences throughout your life, you're still going to attract a certain kind of person anyway. And so I think part of maturity is just knowing how to interact with that kind of person that you attract in a healthy way. Like for me, I know inherently, like I'm a submissive, right? And so I attract dominant men who are dominant in all spheres of their life, right? Dominant in the bedroom, well endowed, it's a whole nother topic. Just dominant in society, dominant in their careers, just dominant Like they run their shit, but it can also be a drawback too, right? It can kind of lead to other unhealthy things that happen in relationships. So it's just a matter in me being aware of that and how I interact with those kind of men, But yeah, I think I've said enough. But I just, like I said, I've seen this as a pattern in men. Like, there's so many black men out there who are seeking love, right? And I wish I could just love all of those men. I just wish you could just see, like, you could just see their soul. Like, I see a person's soul. Like, even when I communicate to a person's soul, and I see their soul, and I'm just like, I want to love you. But at the same time, like, my soul also needs love too. And there's a whole freaking conversation surrounding how black women, like, we have become like this freaking doormat, or this, what do you call it? Like this freaking incubator where we just heal men. Like, that's our sole purpose of existing in this world. And it's just like, who is gonna freaking incubate us and love us? Like, we have all this freaking love to give as black women, and we can do that freaking with our eyes closed and in our sleep. But who is returning the favor? Who is loving us? So it has to go both ways. Love is deep, man. It's more than just a feeling. It's an action. It's a commitment. You wake up and you choose to love somebody. You make that choice. You say, you know what? I see certain qualities in this person that I like. Whatever those qualities may be, we all got different values. You should know your values, right? Whether that person is a hardworking person, they're honest, they're trustworthy, whatever it is. You see those qualities and you make a commitment. You say, you know what? There's something about you. I like those things about you. I'm going to invest. I'm going to take a risk and invest in you. And that person, of course, got to reciprocate it. It got to be mutual. Can't be one-sided. It got to be mutual. They got to feel the same way and demonstrate the same thing. And just about what they feel, what they talk about. You gotta, your walk gotta match your talk, right? That's a beautiful thing, though, when that can happen. But how do we get there, black men and black women? We can't make it past the first day. It ain't even a freaking face-to-face day. It's a virtual day, yo. I just be tripped out. I'm just like, I can't, I'm not, because, like, if you coming off, this is the reason why I say, like, being emotionally distant and guarded, that ain't what's up. Because we know we are very perceptive, black men, black women. We go off on energy and spirits, right? And like I told this guy, like, I can pick up energy. Like, just, we ain't even got to be in person. I can just pick up your energy. And my feeling is vibe, like, nah, man, nah, that ain't it. You're a great person. Outside of that, don't get me wrong, like I already said, this dude, he's shining his career as a teacher. Like, he's pro-black, has all the right values and all of that, but it's something missing. And I'm just like, nah. I pick up that distance, that disconnect. And naturally, what we do, the same thing happens. Like, we mirror to a person what they give us. But then he's mad. I'm just like, yo, I couldn't even change my reaction to your behavior, your energy. I couldn't change it if I wanted to. Because that would not be me being true to myself. And I have to be authentic. I gotta be genuine. So I just ain't feeling it. That's the reason why I didn't call him back. He ended up calling me like, what's happening? What's up? And he texted me. He called me, I didn't answer. Then he ended up sending me a text and trying to get this rationale. And, whatever. I don't even remember exactly what he said. And then I was like, you know what? I need to address his freaking text message. And that's when I was just like, yeah. And I replied, and he was like, oh, we need to talk. I was like, okay. But that, to me, I find that's the irony, because for a person, it's just like, yo, like, you can't bullshit. Like, you can't front. It's clear as day you want to pursue me. It's clear as day you want, like, you're interested, right? But yeah, it's like you're trying to, like, guard your heart. But you're interested. But, like, fuck all that. Just keep it real, because you're doing it anyway. You blowing my phone up now. You texting. So it's just like, you're going to do it anyway. But I think the difference is you doing it kind of forced. Like, now in my response to my observation I made about him, his behavior on video chat, and my response to that, which is pretty much just like, all right, reflecting back to him, is like, it triggered something in him, and it kind of forced him, like, I will bring out the truth in your ass, yo. Like, don't front. You interested? Come on. Come with it, baby. Like, life is short. Come with it. And so it's just funny, because then he came forward, and you can just see, like, the vulnerability, but it's just like, I don't want it to be forced. I shouldn't have to force you to be vulnerable, yo. The fuck? I can pull vulnerability out of anybody, but I don't want to. Like, you should just give it. That's a gift. Like, you should take that risk. I took that risk on the first time we're talking to each other on the phone. You know? I'm not here to make you vulnerable. I can assist you, you know, in taking that risk and, you know, being emotionally available. But come on, man. You're educated too, man. You should have a lot of insight. Like, he's smart. You do the smart too. You know, and then a whole nother situation. This other guy is just like, that's a whole nother video. Like, yo, I think I'm about to end this. Because this other guy, that's a whole nother video. But it's related though, you know. It's just like, I reflect back. You busy, you doing this, you doing that. I think I'm the queen when it comes to being distant, because, of course, you know, I have emotions, I care, but I've also been said to not have emotion, like, to, you know, and I've been said this by, like, psychologists, like, licensed freaking doctors, you know, and part of me agreed with them, part of me didn't, like, nah, don't try me like that, like, I have empathy, like, but I can turn my shit on and off. I'm well in control of myself and my emotions. I've, like, mastered that shit. So that's a good thing, because I think everybody should be well in control of their emotions. Like, I can let my shit go and say, you know what? I fall in love. You have my heart. You know, just go with the flow. Let the wind take me into this deep abyss of love, right? But I can also shut that shit off. And I don't care how well endowed a man is, how deep his pockets is, how smart he is. I can shut that shit down, where you're not going to get my feelings, because I feel like, yo, I'm reflecting back to you what you give. If you're not showing, and Lisa say she feel me, you know what I'm saying? Like, I love myself. So come on, we can do this. We can fall in love, and we can be this power couple, and we can make it work. But just know that, and men should know this. I don't understand why men don't know this, is that women are going to reflect, black women are going to reflect back to you what you give us, man. We'll multiply that shit. That's what we do. We're multipliers. You sitting up here investing 2 hours out the week, what you think you're going to get back? You probably ain't going to get back shit. Because a woman, like, she ain't going to waste her time. You know, what the hell? Like, I'm some side hoe, and then, you know, you come up with this, oh, well, I was doing this, and I was doing that, and I was with my cousin. Well, go on, be with them then. Because, hey, I'm not going to beg. I'm not a woman to beg for a man's time. I will bring to your attention. But that's it. Like, I'm not about to sit up here and helicopter over your ass and like, oh, why you ain't call me back? Where you been? And da-da-da-da-da. But then again, that could be me being emotionally unavailable, and as opposed to just saying, you know what, I miss you. Like men say, well, why do women have a hard time just saying I miss you, right? But I think I would take the more avoidant route, avoidant approach, because it's different, attachment styles. And for me, I think I'm definitely avoidant. I'm an avoidant attachment style. But at the same time, like I feel like I have a mixture. I have secure, I have avoidant, you know, insecure. I admit that. And they say it stems back to childhood, but my childhood was good. Like I had secure attachments in childhood, so I don't know if you can really attribute my attachment style in terms of my adult relationships back to my childhood, because my shit was cool. It's just, nah, man. Like I said, I show back to men what they show me, and I know how to turn my emotions on and turn them off. And I think, and I'm just gonna say this, I'm about to end the video, and y'all already should know how I see it, is that men should just take the lead. I tell men this all the time who so-called express interest in me. I say, you want me to demonstrate a certain kind of interest or whatever? You need to take the lead. Go ahead. Be vulnerable first. I'm following you. That should be easy, man. But see, that's the problem, man. Y'all lack there. You lack there. If you are insecure, you've been hurt, you carrying all this baggage, a woman just gonna reflect back to you what you give her. So don't be sitting up here going on these rants, making all these videos, oh, woman has got this baggage, da 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 da. Like you the freaking victim. No. Put on your big boy pants and handle your shit, man. Women gonna follow you. Men, you carry the dominant energy in all circles. Whether it's with a black woman, white man, white woman, you should know who you are. And like I said, it all goes back to a man knowing who he is. A lot of y'all men don't know your own power. So you want to play this victim role and well, she did me, so I don't trust women because of what happened in the past and that. No. Be a man, walk as a king, demonstrate love, and you're going to get that back multiplied 100-fold over. But that's what I got. I want to hear what you guys think, though. Feel free to share your comments, and I'll catch you guys later.